actually got some good news today. So let's find out what it means with our next guest, NBC Sports Bay Area 49ers analyst, the one and only Rod Brooks. Rod, looks like Talanoa Hufanga is back. What does that mean for the defense this week?
Well, that means that they're better at safety because safeties got picked on big time.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, the first thing that jumps out is the big play, the game changer, that 97-yard touchdown to Jordan Jefferson. Hufanga, he's a tone setter back there, man. He hits hard, but he's also grown into that safety role. I think he's grown into that leadership role. So just having a steadying influence back there, but also somebody who can play. Just to make that unit better, because they got to be better, because not very good in Minnesota this past Sunday.
Yeah, Rod, it's interesting. I saw a lot of people who were breaking down the tape, and they were breaking it down wrong, talking about George Odom being a corner when it's like, what, man? So it's frustrating a little bit, but hence that's why we have you on here, the Drive Guys. Rod, moving into, I don't want to completely just forget about last week. Overall tone for you watching last week's game?
On one hand, I'd be like, yeah, man, forget about it. Because,
good idea. Great idea.
They're going to lose, 5 games, I think, at a minimum this season. So which games you lose, how you plan on stretching it out over the course of the season is up to the team. But I think one thing, though, is that not having Christian McCaffrey means. And it doesn't necessarily affect them in the run game, because Jordan Mason did his job for the second week in a row. The problem is you miss it in the pass game. And that's why the Niners have been so bad on third down. That, in my estimation, is a big reason why they were, I believe, 2 for 10. Yeah, 2 for 10 on third down in Minnesota, is that having McCaffrey back there as that threat or that safety valve, you get him the ball on third downs, and all he's got to do is make one cut. Chances are you're converting that into a first down. So not having McCaffrey in the pass game puts pressure on everyone else to be better. And, there's been a lot of pointed comments towards a couple of guys, not that they're not trying, but we talked about this in terms of guys not being there for the full training camp or missing preseason. Your best offensive players needed to be better on Sunday in Minnesota, and that was Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk. And again, not for a lack of trying, but you could tell that those guys not being in football game shape clearly affected them in Minnesota. That's got to be better starting immediately going down to LA to face the Rams. Everyone has to be better when you're missing a player of Christian McCaffrey's caliber, and especially now when you don't have Deebo Samuel. No mistakes allowed.
Yeah, so Rod, what kind of options do you think the 49ers are seriously looking at? Obviously, if Ayuk is playing better, that takes care of a lot offensively, but I'm talking about specifically getting touches out of the backfield. Do they throw to Mason more? Does Cowan get, some jet sweeps? Or what do you see as even the realistic options for him right now?
I don't know getting Mason in the pass game, but I think you have to have him as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
He's got himself a jugs machine over the summer, worked on that part of his game. He truly wants to be a 3-down back. And part of being a 3-down back is running the ball. He's very good at that. Pass protection, he's very good at that. And that keeps you on the field. You got to get him some way, somehow involved in the pass game. Not a steady diet, but just enough to make the defense stay honest and give the big man some sugar. I think the other part of this is I'd like to see Brock Purdy a little bit more using his legs. We've seen a couple of times here over these first couple of games where Purdy gets out there and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, he's athletic. He's bigger. He's stronger. I would dare say he's a little bit faster after a full off season of strength training, because he didn't have to rehab his elbow as he did a couple of years ago. So I'm not looking and don't want him, because he's not, to go out there and be Lamar Jackson. But hey, if we could get him in the run game a little bit, maybe on third down, catching the Rams off guard, maybe that will help the situation where you don't have Christian McCaffrey, who, again, as we talked about, is that guy that makes everybody nervous on third down on the other side.
Joined by Rod Brooks, NBC Bay Area analyst. Of course, you see him every week like I do, covering the 49ers. Rod, explain to me how Charvarius Ward in week 1, and we've heard no one wants to throw to a side all of a sudden. He's almost becoming the epitome of a shutdown corner. And then all of a sudden, Minnesota sees something, I don't know, in scheme, or they seen something on the tape, or maybe they were like, you know what, we don't really care. We're going that way. And then for that side, on top of the safety, Jair Brown struggling a little bit and misreading something. But it was Shavarius Ward who I thought misread some things too. How do you explain what happened with him last weekend?
I don't know. And I don't know if there's disconnect or if he's trying to get used to a new defensive coordinator in Nick Sorensen. I think it's just one of those situations where everybody's got to be better. And again, we talked about their best players having to play their best. Not that he's necessarily on that list, but you need everybody operating optimally.
Optimating is actually a good word, or I'm going to.
Thank you very much.
Optimating is awesome.
And we'll see if we can get to Merriam-Webster so they can put it in the dictionary so it could actually be a word, and I won't sound like a guy who just adds two words together. But I think, because I'm trying to remember, he said that he just stayed on the left side. He didn't travel. He didn't follow Jefferson. Maybe there's some disconnect there in terms of how he's being used and what they're doing now defensively, scheme wise, with Nick Sorensen.
You mentioned Nick Sorensen, and a lot of fans. We hear from angry fans like you do all the time. A lot of fans this week questioning, "Hey, this new defensive coordinator, what's up with him? Is it fair to question Nick Sorensen at this point, or is it far too early in your estimation?"
Well, I mean, listen. If you're the defensive coordinator, everybody's there to be criticized.
Yeah,
especially when you don't win. That's just part of the job. Again, I'm of the mind that he is an upgrade over what they had last year, just because his philosophy fits this defense. And we saw it against the Jets, where the Niners played that series where the Jets scored. I believe it was the third offensive series where Garrett Wilson got third down conversion after third down conversion. The Niners defense, especially the secondary, was playing a little bit passive. Well, they made that adjustment quickly on the fly. They didn't wait till halftime. They didn't wait until it was too late. They made the adjustment quickly. And then the Niners defense, they were the ones that were dictating to the Jets what they should do. They were not standing back being passive as they had been last year. So in my estimation, what he does and the way he likes to play defense works with these guys. And it's more in tune to how they play. They're a group of guys out there to where they're more lethal defensively when they're not sitting back and reacting, trying to figure out what the offense is doing, and then they go get the guy. No, they dictate what's happening. So I think Sorensen is a value add, but there's going to be some growing pains because he's a new coordinator in this position this year.
One of the things I always appreciate about you, Rod, when I'm watching the 49ers coverage is I think you keep it a buck. I think you keep it as real as possible, without going overboard. And so I appreciate that with the question I'm going to ask you. Do you believe this is an upgrade on a defensive line? I know we only have a small sample size, but compared to what we saw last year.
Third so far, and pressure on the QB. Yeah,
I understand. Yeah. Man, you want to throw a wrench in there. Huh? I see where you're going, White. Goodness.
I thought that's where you were going at.
Kind of. I was going to ask through the first couple of weeks, does your eyes say this is an upgrade, or do you think we're still kind of operating on the same playing field?
Leonard Floyd was boy, I want to be very careful in the word I use, but I'm going to be very pointed in the word or words that I use. Leonard Floyd was not there when he needed to be there on Sunday against Minnesota. And Javon Hargrave needs to be a lot better. There was a thought, because now he has some help there in the middle, that Hargrave would be better. You saw it in week 1 against the Jets. You didn't see it in week 2 against Minnesota. So, I love the fact that Yadam was able to do some things. I love the fact that Gross Matos was able to do some things. But there's two guys. You win as a team, you lose as a team. But there were two guys on the defensive line, in my estimation, that needed to be better, that needed to help out Nick Bosa and the rest of those guys. That was Leonard Floyd and Javon Hargrave. They were not as good as advertised in Minnesota.
And Rod, I would think if that pass rush still doesn't get more pressure on Stafford this week, given the state of the Rams offensive line, if that is the case, I think the 49ers may have a real issue. Would you agree?
Yeah, but I think they're going to get that pressure. The Rams' offensive line, I mean, the Rams are just beat up front to back. But, hey, man, nobody listening to the sound of my voice, nobody in Northern California. And, hey, if we're going to keep it a buck, let's keep it a buck. Not too many people in Southern California really feel bad for the Rams having injury problems because, well, they're Niner fans, and this is the NFL. Niners have injury issues. Everybody's got injury issues. So nobody's feeling sorry for the Rams. But with the Rams being so injured in so many phases, but particularly on that defensive line, this is a get right game for the Niners. And not to be dismissive of the Rams, but the Niners have to play better. They need to play better. The Rams are injured, and the Niners have had success against the Rams, whether it's at Levi's or at Levi's South, a.k.a. SoFi Stadium. So I think the issues that the Niners had last week, I don't think we're going to see those issues, but quite frankly, they can't have those issues.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you, Rob. Before we let you go, man, I was peeping the social network. Talk to me about Costco, man. We're a big Costco show, right? The drive guy, we're Kirkland, baby, Kirkland up. But I'm with you. I know you ain't throwing out no Christmas ornaments already.
So I walk into Costco, okay, I going to get some steaks for the family, right? And I walk in and I walk very quickly by the television section because you know how it is at Costco. They got all the TVs right when you walk in.
Right in the smack front, yeah.
Because they looking for suckers like me. I'm assuming you guys as well. Like, you know what? I could use 120 of the TV, right? So I hustle quickly through the TV part, right? And then what do I see when I turn the corner? I see Christmas decorations. Man, it's September 18th. Costco, stop it. Right? Listen, man, I understand capitalism. I understand getting that money. I understand, early bird gets the worm. But damn it, can we at least put on a flannel shirt before we start advertising for Christmas?
We still wearing shorts down here, right? It's still tank top weather in Sac right now.
Yeah.
Hey, we still have at least 2 more heat waves.
Yes.
The end of September and October before it actually starts to get cold and rainy. What are we doing, Costco? Come on, man. But then, you know what? I had some free samples, and I'm like, all right, Costco.
They got you right. They got you right.
They got me.
Thank you, Rod. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, fellas. Y'all be easy.
You too. Rod Brooks, NBC Sports Bay Area 49er analyst. You see him before the game, halftime, and after the game. He supposedly is a drummer. We're going to have to find out where we can hear Rod Brooks drumming.
Yeah, I've seen that
Yeah. You don't throw that out on your social media if you can't actually do it.
You can't work the wood. Huh?
Yeah.
I got you the sticks.
So that's something to look forward to as well. When we come back, tell you about the NFL coach who came up with what I think is the best excuse yet for a penalty committed by one of his players. Best excuse yet. It's next, Sactown Sports.
Okay, everyone, what did you think of the chocolate bar?